and just
Mad
get
dumb.
into them.
Okay.
All right, we ready?
Here we are.
You're listening to Spark FM online.
Yes, sir. You are currently tuned in to the Sweet Spot, powered by Spark FM Online. It's your girl DJ Candy Rain, and I am holding down the airways for the next 2 hours. And I'm excited today. I got some homies in the building. As you can see, we got a little bit different of a setup. I came down to Boston and said, you know what? I'm about to sit down with my friends and I want to talk some trash and some good things. So today is officially a wet Wednesday. So y'all keep it locked. Don't go anywhere. I got the Chronicles podcast with me. If you're a longtime follower of mine, you know I've actually been featured on their podcast a few times. We got a few notable episodes and we're going to get into that, of course. But yeah, man, keep it locked and don't go anywhere. And of course, if you got some tunes that you want to listen to, go ahead and hit us up and let me know. We are Spark FM Online across all boards. That's Twitter, Instagram, Twitch too. We on Twitch. Come follow us, baby. And we're on TikTok. So go ahead and do that. You might see some behind the scenes things on there. But yeah, y'all keep it locked and don't go anywhere. It's your girl Candy Rain live on the Sweet Spot. Boom, boom, boom. Pause it. Drop.
You're listening to Spark FM online.
Yes, you are. And we're back. And I hope y'all enjoyed that first tune. Like I said, if you're just now tuning in, I got some special guests in the building. And y'all know I usually don't bring that many people on the show. And if I do, they're definitely coming with some heat. And it's going to be a great time. So I'm glad to welcome my friends in the building, the Chronicles podcast. Hey now, what's up, y'all? Hey, welcome to the station. Yeah, we're glad to have y'all. Is this your first time here? Ooh. Nah? Yeah. Well, welcome. I hope that y'all like it. You know, we do actually have a real station. I know some people are like, is this just an online platform and things like that? It's like, no, like we really get busy. We have a whole station that we do things out of. So thank y'all for coming out and meeting me while I'm in the city. You know, again, y'all are the Chronicles podcast. So talk to me about that. Who is the Chronicles podcast? Who do I have in the building with me right now?
You got me, the Spain. I brought it to life. You also have the main host of the show, V. And we have Jazz, like V said, when we were doing pre-production, is our personality, pretty much.
I don't know if I like that word.
Well,
That's the word we use right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's fitting.
I'm
because,
the enemy.
It's fitting because, you know, like, she gives us a mixture of everything. She could dabble in everything.
Yeah, I mean, like Des Payne said, like, I'm your host, V, fuck you, V on Twitter.
Yes.
Jazz is I like to call Jazz the personality of the show. I like to call Jazz, like, kind of like the soul of the show. I would call Des Payne the brains. I would call me the body.
I like that.
And that's how we do that.
I would say
nice.
so.
I like that.
Yeah, that was
smooth.
That was well said.
You gotta write that down. We gotta
I
put that somewhere.
You would think after all these years they would get used to my vernacular, but I guess I wow them every time.
Every trip.
I'm
We're just so
definitely
used to it. It's just so regular now.
Well, I will say, as someone who has been listening to the show for a long time, you were definitely a great addition to the show. I know initially it didn't start out with you three, right? So
Correct.
You guys had a different co-host, and have y'all spoken to her at all?
Mina,
I've seen her. I've spoken to her.
No, I mean, you know, shout out to Mina. I mean, she was good at for the moment. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You know, obviously, like, you know, doing a podcast is a hobby that can be somewhat of a task at times, and you have to prioritize it. You know, just like if you want to go do pick up basketball, or if you want to, you know, record a song if you're a rapper, or, you know, just doing something for the sake of having fun.
Right.
But also you're taking it, you're passionate about it, you feel me? So not to say she wasn't passionate, but it wasn't a good timing for her. So,
And that
but
happens.
at the end of the day, you know, shout out to her. She definitely gave her enough of what she could give at the time. and it was a good beginning, like having she and I and Jazz, and then we were fortunate enough to have V was in the building quite a few times, and he picked up on it very easily. So it was a good transition to get to V.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I think you guys, how you just broke it down was perfect. I think you would do a great job at like controlling the conversation and bringing in thought-provoking questions. For me, I like listening to podcasts because I am listening to it in my leisure time. So I don't like to just listen to BS. And I also like to listen to things where I'm going to pick up information or it's a little bit mind stimulating. And something that I like about y'all show is that you guys have, ironically, a sweet spot where you get enough, like, I don't want to say ratchet, but you get enough like trendy things that are going on, that things you'll see on the timeline, but you can also, you guys lead that into a conversation where you can get some gems from. No matter where you kind of are in your life, and even if it's not gems for maybe you, it's something that maybe you can pass on to the next person. So that's something that I definitely appreciate about y'all show, and I appreciate how, like I said, how you host and you control the conversation. I got to give it up to my dog Jasmine because it don't be easy, being the only woman, having these thought-provoking conversations with two men, who are able to bring different points, right? So not only she have to maybe deal with someone who thinks like V, but now she has to maybe sometimes go against someone who thinks like Jeff. And it's like she has to really like hold her ground, and I think she does a great job at that, and I think that does allow her personality to shine, and I think that is what kind of helps y'all podcast be bright.
That's a fact. Right.
And I think having that feminine touch is awesome, and then you have Mr. Jeff here, who's Mr. like kind of just laid back, but he does come with some great points, and when he does speak, it's pretty concise, and he has something well to add to the conversation, maybe something you didn't think about, or maybe something that someone should say but they haven't said it. So I definitely think that's important. I was looking at things. You guys have been, excuse me, the tequila's getting to me. So you guys have been doing this since 2017. I was looking and I was doing my little research on y'all.
You was doing your Googles?
I was doing my Googles on y'all, and y'all have been doing this since 2017. I was featured on episode 5, Can You Stand the Rain, before BMF kind of did that. And then we've had a few controversial episodes as well. But what I wanted to ask you is, what is something that you think that you've learned about yourself through podcasting?
I think I'll go first. I think something that I learned is, like Des Payne was saying, it's a hobby and you got to be passionate about it. But what I learned is it's an art form. And with that art form comes tasks, comes deliberate execution. I learned that if I'm not deliberate about what I'm passionate about, it can fall to the wayside. I learned, I kind of grew with Jazz, so I know how to host her. I didn't really grow with Des Payne. I had to learn how to host him. But what I discovered is if we trust, as long as we're trusting each other, it's gonna come out as an amazing episode.
Right.
So within it being an art form, just like any art, there's writer's block, there's painters don't know, they don't have the drive to paint. Whatever the art form is, you have to push yourself. You constantly have to push yourself. And that's something that I learned is when I push myself, pressure makes diamonds. Like, that's what it is. Whenever I push myself and I push the gang, something really good comes out of it. As much as we might not feel like it, as much as we might be tired, as much as it might be a topic that we don't want to talk about.
Right.
As long as we're pushing ourselves, that's where it's at.
I love that. I think that's definitely dope. And again, that's something that you can apply, like you said, to all, facets of life. What about you, Jazz?
I would say I learned a little bit more about me, right? So I like to, usually in the past, I feel like when we started, actually, I always had an opinion. I was very strong to it. And I feel like since V's joined, since kind of like the dynamics changed, my ability to, like, once presented with different information, to kind of be like, oh, okay, I can consider this point. And just, I think that comes from being challenged on a regular basis, right?
Still sharp and still.
Yeah, so I think that the pods allowed me to do that and learn how to do that and learn how to assess when I need that, when I'm in a thought-provoking situation, when I'm not, who has the range, who doesn't. Like, it's, I've learned a lot about how to manage my thoughts and then my expectations of other people's thoughts. So
that's interesting. I like that, especially with it being a podcast. What people don't understand is like, people are obviously having some of these conversations in their house, but we're putting it out there for people to listen, and you're not going to always say the right things, and things are going to happen. So I think that you're spending this time doing these things with, two of your boys. You should, hopefully be picking up and learning some things about yourself, and hopefully you can take it and apply it, to this outside life, and, help mold you in different ways. You guys do have and it's not like these super deep conscious, oh my God, conversations, but it's just right, exactly. Yeah, you can say that. You can say that. Say be yourself, man. Okay. I'm carefree all day, right?
Take my shoes off and shit. No, sir.
But I think it's just important that, because there's so much bull out there. I think it's important that we sit down and we do have these conversations within our communities, within our friendships, because we do need to be challenging each other, because sometimes some people will have some bogus thoughts, and sometimes we need to put that out there and break this down to be like, well, hey, why do you even think like that? Where does this come from? And who knows, how that can help the next person. So I love that. What about you, Captain? This is really initially your thing. You started it, but you're so in the background. I think that's just the most interesting part about it all. What do you think that you've learned
honestly,
from potting in 5 years?
The one thing that couple things I noticed, being able to have a group of people to give me constructive criticism, even if I don't want to hear it, because I don't really have a huge ego. I do have a lot of pride, you know what I'm saying, because I've always been I always put myself in the underdog shoes with situations, and that's what a lot of people don't know about me, but I try to use the platform to express to others that I'm not a perfect individual, and I'm also someone who's still growing, and someone who just has a lot going on that nobody knows, because I'm very low key.
Right.
But another thing is ownership, meaning ownership of my my emotions, ownership of understanding, and ownership of making sure I have patience with not only with myself, with my co-hosts, because they have their own personal life going on, and what I'm saying, I try to chime in as best as I can to make sure everybody's straight, and if they're ready to go, and if somebody said they're not with it, they're not with it, you know what I'm saying? That's and fair. We can move on and figure it out the next day, because that's the whole part of the whole podcast world is like people may already notice, and they bring it up all the time. You've always brought it up many times, like, when y'all coming back? And it's like we be having hiatuses, but it's not scheduled. You feel me? Like we just everybody's working on their career paths or somewhat of a career path. We dealt with COVID. We're dealing with personal stuff. Not saying that we're going through some deep shit, but it's like we trying to even out. You feel me? But absolutely. It's like I said, I'm just ownership of myself and being patient and just enjoying the ride. You feel me? Like it's very fun if you just let it be as it is. Like every time we finish the episode, even if we started off with damn, we don't even know how we feeling, we end it and we feel like, damn, that was a fucking fire episode. You know what I'm saying?
Like going to the gym when you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
You get one of the best workouts.
It's just exactly. It really does feel like
exactly
that.
What it's like.
It definitely feels
How
like.
the fuck do you know?
I know. I don't work out, but I can imagine.
We can get you on
definitely
that.
feels like a workout. You start off, you stretch, and you're like, damn, this shit. I don't know if I want to do this. And by the end of it, you take a shower, you're like, damn, this felt good. You know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, that's really all it is, honestly.
Okay. Well, no, I love that. I mean, you guys have been doing it for 5 years. Of course, things started off a little bit more consistently, but things change within 5 years.
Yeah, life
right?
got hands.
Life got hands, and they be fighting back these days. So
time management is tough.
Woo, baby. And not for nothing, this is a hobby, right? So it's like if you don't feel like doing it, sometimes it is a kind of a thing like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk about this. So what I think that makes your podcast special is that, we don't know when we're going to get an episode from you all. But usually what we
like
do.
That shit?
Well, I like the element of surprise. And I'm used to y'all now, right? So I know that at this point now where it's like, okay, y'all came back, but it's like, I'm looking like, where's that episode? But it's in y'all fashion, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, whenever y'all do end up dropping a podcast, I know that y'all about to give us some heat. And I appreciate that. And I'm okay with that. Like, everyone doesn't have to drop a podcast every month, every 2 weeks. Like, you do it on your own time when you feel like doing it. And I think that what helps make y'all podcast very organic. So what I want to ask you.
That felt so good to hear. Was that just me?
It did. Shout out to Candy.
Can we get into that? Did your eyes twinkle a little bit?
Shout out to Candy. Like, a lot of what you're saying, I identify with because I'm hearing it from listeners. Like, that's not my first time hearing that. Like, people will complain about the consistency, but when that episode drops, they hit and play because they want to know where we've been. They want to know what we're talking about. So it has kind of become our thing. Mm-hmm. We do strive to give more. But in that same instance, I always say quality over quantity.
Always. And I'd rather y'all come when y'all are ready to pod. Just, like y'all say, we're ready to get into some things. We're going to talk today. And I think, I'm going to ask y'all what things separates y'all from other Boston podcasts. But I think that's what kind of helps separate y'all. It's the organicness of it. Y'all don't rely on guests. And I'm not knocking people who rely on guests because I obviously have a guest on my show right now. But it's kind of how I wanted to do my radio show initially, where I did it for the first year and a half where I didn't have a guest because I wanted people to tune in for Candy, right? I don't want you to tune in just because I have a guest and I have this person, I have that person. And once I solidified that, now I feel comfortable enough to bring on guests. And if I know that even if I don't have one, y'all are going to still tune in. And that's the same thing for y'all. I don't know when's the last, y'all, it's been a little while since y'all had a guest, but again, y'all, last episode that y'all dropped was fire, y'all explained the hiatus and what was going on, and even throughout that, y'all was still able to deliver a bomb-ass episode.
It was tough, though.
Yeah, I bet.
I was just getting over a flu.
Ooh.
Jazz Dog was all over our laps.
I was going to say, I know. My baby was baby, and that was her first episode.
But we made it happen because it was like, we just wanted to.
He was in the living room trapping.
We just wanted to get it cracking. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's important
because we hear it. But like you said, you made a great point, and V also is. I'm gonna repeat the same thing he said. Like, we hear it from. Like, we all have our own different listening groups that listen to us, and they all bring up the same things, but they're not disappointed. They're just like, you know what? Whenever y'all drop, it's just like a Jay-Z album. Whenever he drops something, they're gonna be like, damn, it's just fire. He could be mumbling this, it's fire. You know what I'm saying? Because the expectation, they already know that they're expecting something fire anyways, and they can't wait.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's definitely what it is. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I have the opposite feeling, so I just do it and I don't listen to shit. I'm one of those people. I record, I don't listen.
You don't listen.
I don't look at feedback. I don't double check my work.
Why is that? Why is that?
I mean, if we could. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't like listening to my voice, so I have my own podcast, and sometimes it's hard for me because I do want to listen where I can be better, but I literally don't like. I can't stand it, and I want to edit everything. I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have said that and that and that and that. But then other people love it, and it's like, whatever.
That's it right there.
Okay.
Your critique of yourself hits so much different. So I'd be like, I'm not listening to this. They said it was a banger. I trust it. Bomb. Send it. You know what I'm saying?
I be trying to tell her, like,
even feedback. I be like, I don't.
Women be hitting me up. They're like, oh, she's talking just like I would talk.
Exactly.
Or,
girls don't hit me up. The only
talk
time
about it, sis. Like all this other stuff, and I'm sitting here trying to, boost her up, and she's like
I be high like, yeah, that's crazy.
Like I'm like, all right, they listen because of you.
Well, you're very honest, right? I think one thing that the listeners can appreciate is Jasmine's duality and her honesty. So she's able to kind of transcend through like different conversations, right? And it doesn't matter kind of what the conversation is, she's gonna have some type of input. She's probably gonna have something funny and wild to say as well, and that's where that personality comes in. And then you got V over here who's like, wait a minute, let's dive into what the hell this wild thing you just said is.
Like
right?
To bring it back to your question, I think what kind of separates us and
you see me?
I think what kind of separates us and makes us unique is Jazz, right? So Jazz being the soul of the show.
Y'all are really fulfilling my kink praise today. Y'all gotta chill out.
Me growing with Jazz, I know her mind in a way that most people don't, and I know that it's layered. I know that it's very intelligent. So when you look at the dynamic, if I can get in my bag of a young black woman who grew up in the hood, who's gone through adversity, who's gone through trauma, who's persevered, who is intelligent, who is beautiful, who's gone through some of the things that she's gone through, I know how to navigate. I know how to bring her with me through this journey of articulation about our feelings, about our thoughts, about whatever it is, about whatever topic I want to bring up. So when you have her as that soul, and you have her as this personality that's kind of bigger than life. Her personality is bigger than two grown men in front of a mic.
Right.
So that's why the dynamic of our podcast is Jazz, and then the chemistry that surrounds that. When do you kind of submit to Jazz's opinion, or you fight Jazz's opinion?
You know what's crazy?
That's so crazy to hear, yo.
I think
I get it, but it just, I'm very uncomfortable sitting here. I just want to let y'all know. It's so weird. Like, I appreciate it, but it's like in your everyday life, that shit is not a popping trait.
Right. So I was gonna say, and I think that goes kudos.
I am a menace, nigga.
To
Sorry.
No, it's
Cussing.
okay. I think it's a kudos to the glue, because if you know Jasmine in real life, sometimes it's hard to bring that out of her, and you have to be someone that she trusts in order to bring that out, and you have to know how to manipulate it, and not manipulate it in a bad way, but manipulate it so that way there is a better outcome of it, and usually that's what you get out of y'all podcast.
Yep.
So I definitely agree. I'm gonna ask y'all one more question, and then we're gonna go into a quick commercial break.
Let's do it.
What is your favorite, if you can say, what do you think is your favorite episode that you've recorded?
That's a good one.
I already know. I got a couple, but off top, my most memorable is the one I screamed on Carly early on.
Yo.
Yeah, back when I wasn't a part of it.
My man's big too.
remember that.
Yeah, you was in the room though.
I remember
That
You
that.
was in
like
production.
part
You just
5
wasn't
or
on air.
something.
Was he?
Nah, I wasn't
Nah,
there.
he wasn't
You
there.
wasn't
Nah,
at
he
all.
wasn't
I
there.
heard it, but I wasn't
Nah,
And then
it
you
was-
came.
Yeah, I came right
That
after.
episode was
He
crazy.
was like this verbal assassin.
It was wild because, you know, shout out to D Man,
Who's a shit starter.
and Mac. Yo,
Who's also a shit
yo,
starter.
no, definitely shout out to them because
No,
when we went to
episode 4, I had
we-
to look back and I'm like, it's
Yeah.
right before, my episode is right after, so that's, I'm crying.
We had to ride the
we
momentum.
came back, so we had to. So when that outburst happened, we didn't even record that night.
Because we was beef.
Yeah.
We was literally, we're friends. So we was having an argument.
Yeah.
And we was about to record. And we was having the argument in transition
Hey,
of
yo.
recording. So D being D was like, let's hit the button. And now the button's hit. We set up. We already got the headphones on. We already in front of the mic. I'm going to finish what I was saying to you because
Right.
I don't care who's here. I'm saying what I'm saying. We friends.
And he definitely, the next episode we came in, we were like ready to go, ready to rock. And the next thing you know, he told us, yo, we're going to use that. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Yes.
So then we used it, and it just was so fire. And,
It's
and to this day, it's our highest listened episode. So it's crazy how
That's
that
crazy that
came
y'all let
down.
me show my ass like that.
that
and that's
was,
the highest
episode was great. That's definitely in my top like 5 episodes.
of me showing my ass.
I
Wow.
mean, it was a good. It was very. I like authentic episodes.
That's
Don't
right.
give me no gimmick. Don't give me give us
Yeah.
an authentic ass conversation. You feel me? So
It's
okay,
in
what about you?
transition.
V?
I gotta go with our very last episode, which was Body Count Only Matters. That was so the last episode that we just
Oh,
that
you
we just
fried me.
recorded. I love that episode because one thing I love about our episodes is our title is one thing, and what the episode will be about is a totally different thing.
Yes.
So on that last episode, we got really open and we addressed like a really hot Twitter topic that's still controversial to this day.
Yes.
And that was definitely one of my favorite episodes because we were gone for a really long time and we jumped right back in the groove, got right back to it.
But it was spicy.
Yeah,
it was
fire.
great. It was great. And again, you know, just the different. Thank God y'all have a woman on y'all podcast. One thing I don't like about Joe Budden's podcast is that they don't have a woman's perspective and they be sounding dumb. So it's like,
Yeah.
and not that y'all would sound dumb without.
Nah, they
Jay.
No, we
would.
would.
Nah, thank you.
Okay.
Nah, they
okay.
would.
But I'm gonna let them tell it. So okay, cool. Jeff, do you have a favorite episode?
So the one where we had, I think you were in it. The 10. What was it?
3 to
Shot,
5.
shoot your
That's
shot.
my
3 to 5,
favorite
shoot your shot.
episode.
That was
Because
a
I
fire
think I think that was V's
You was screaming.
introductory.
Yeah, that might have been my
That
first
was
and
his
second episode.
introductory.
I
So
walked out the room that
Yeah.
day.
She
I
was
was
hot that
tired.
day.
she was hot. And we were about to do a part 2 and everything. That shit was running and running. So
Yo.
that was one of my favorites.
That
And then-
That was a
good
packed
one.
studio
Yeah.
night.
That was fun that night.
Yep.
I still think about that episode to this day because when I see people that are attractive, I'm like, boom, there it goes.
You just stare at them really long.
Seconds, not even. There it goes in 3 to 5. 45 seconds. I don't need more than 10. Like, you know, so that was definitely one of my favorites.
That's funny you mentioned that episode because I think about that now, and that's one of the episodes my perspective has changed on.
Okay, we might have to get into that. Hold on. Save that thought. So, all right.
Also,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The second one I liked was when we interviewed Dart.
Yes.
That was
Shout out
that
to
was
Dart
a little.
Adams.
That was like that blew my mind. Like
That
the
was a
guy's
class.
it's like a Boston
Historian.
almanac.
Yo,
he
like
just
Jack
has
said, put him
everything.
in the museum a few years ago, and it's like you're right. Like we need a
Bruh.
statue of Dart in the Boston Museum. Like that man
It's
is Boston.
And you should put
100%.
money in it, and he give you a fact, a random fucking Boston hip hop fact.
That would be
you put $1 in
fire,
it, and he'll
actually.
give it to you.
You say a Boston street, he'll be like, I remember what happened in that street in 1985.
Whatever.
Bang, 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 and you're like, shit, man, like goddamn.
Like what? And he
This
doesn't
man
sleep.
is-
I don't know, but yeah. Okay, so I can see how that could definitely be a favorite episode of yours. Well, I think that's great. Hey y'all, as you can see, we got the Chronicles podcast here. We live in effect. We're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we're gonna play a quick song, and then we're gonna be right back, and we're gonna see what the Chronicles podcast is listening to. They got this little moniker called the Firm Click, so we gonna see what they got going on real quick. Y'all keep it locked and don't go anywhere. This your girl DJ Candy Rain on the Sweet Spot.
You're listening to Spark